What's up, everybody? I am back with a new reaction video from Geeky Stoics, and this one Jedi related, called "The True Enemy of the Sith Is." Now, I figure it's perfect time to talk about this video, considering that the new Star Wars series Maul is recently has started out, came out last week. Episode 3 and 4 is already up on Disney Plus. And honestly, I was watching Star Wars Girl talk about this last week, and I didn't think about it at that time, but I think she's right where I think these were our block, because it doesn't make any sense to have it one episode per week. But considering that it could be that these were 1 hour or closely to an hour, probably 40, a little over 40 minutes worth of material that they chopped in half, because it doesn't get, because look at compared to like the Clone Wars series, where each episode felt like there's a beginning, middle, and end. Or hell, even like Tales of the Jedi even felt like as tiny as those episodes were, it still felt like a beginning, middle, and end. It doesn't feel that way with these particular episodes. But in all honesty, why do we need another Maul show? He's a great character, but it's just, why? One of my favorite, at least outside of like Luke Skywalker and Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin, and of course Yoda, my favorite, at least personally, he ranks very high. My favorite Star Wars character is Qui-Gon Jinn, and I'm just astonished there's no spinoff with him in terms of like a prequel showing his like upbringing, and there's so much you can do with that. You think after Tales of the Jedi, where we saw a little bit of a young Liam Neeson, a young Qui-Gon Jinn, voiced by Liam Neeson's son, to play him as a young Qui-Gon Jinn, and that's one of the best episodes from Tales of the Jedi that you could have like done something in that vein and make it a whole series out of, like a young Qui-Gon Jinn as a Padawan, and we get to learn more from him. Again, off a little off topic, but the fact that we got a Darth Maul show before we even got a Qui-Gon Jinn show is crazy. You gave an entire a series for the murderer of a person before the actual person, the hero. It's crazy. Anyway, before I continue, please follow Geeky Stoics. I'll leave a link to the original video in the description below on my YouTube channel once it's posted. But also follow me on my YouTube and Twitch, Talkative Carl, as I stream games, react to videos, and review content. And I will be getting back to some chaotic lore videos. I've been very busy, but I got a big video that I'm going to be working on, so stay tuned for that. Hopefully I'll have it out by the end of the week, if not the beginning of next week, because I know it's been a while, but I had a lot to take care of, so please be patient. Anyway, here we go.
There's a Sith thing at play here, which is the murder of the self, and the I am no longer Ben Solo. Anakin Skywalker is dead. I am now this person.
because it's not a simple matter of you played Knights of the Old Republic one time, and so you kind of talked about the Sith code versus the Jedi code, and
Peace is a lie. There is only passion.
like those are philosophical elements that bleed through the stories that we grew up with. Why it matters is that they represent a view of nature and of, more importantly, humanity, like what our role in this universe is.
Is the dark side stronger?
The world around you, the environment around you, the people around you can and should be molded to your view of what it should be.
I mean, that's Foucault. He was just deeply into pain and power dynamics between people. And for him, knowledge and relationships between people always came down to power dynamics. There was never any sort of virtue to human relations. And this is what, underpins a lot of modern Marxism. Again, like also critical theory that
Do yourselves a favor and look up, I don't know how you would title the video, but there is a video where George Lucas is in like a writer's room or something like that as he's discussing the philosophy behind and the role dynamics between Jedi and Sith, and the way he, no pun intended, poetically describes what it means to be a Jedi and what it means to be a Sith, goes to show about learning what, the fundamental differences between good and evil, right and wrong, corruption, power, and surrendering to peace and all that stuff. And that's why we got so much crap with Star Wars now, because we got writers in a room. We got people like Leslie Headland who generally don't understand the concept of good and evil and was right and was wrong. This whole, and I reacted to videos like the secondary story where she actually got, she actually got a name, but like I just remember her channel, so check out her channel. And she discussed this kind of stuff about villains that I just recently reacted to, and she talked about how like writers nowadays want to be fluid with the or mess with too much in the gray area, but like evil being misunderstood and all that bull crap. And that's where a lot of these writers nowadays, especially in the writers' rooms of Star Wars and Lucasfilm, where they inputted themselves, you look at something like the Acolyte, they inputted themselves too much into the material, where A, they don't like to be criticized, because if you criticize the material, they feel like you're criticizing them, and B, they think that, there's a sob story, there's like some personal deep-seated trauma or pain that fully explains and excuses whatever bullcrap that they pull in current day. But like they overdone it for so long where you can't help but eye roll and cringe. It's like, I don't want to feel bad about a person that committed mass genocide. I don't care what kind of sob story of a childhood he or she has. Is a groaner. Sometimes bad guys are just bad guys for the sake of just liking. As much people clown on Spider-Man 3, the original Spider-Man 3, I like this line from Topher Grace's Venom. I like being bad. It makes me happy. It's just fully embracing the fact that it's just like, yeah, I'm an asshole. You look at something like Homelander. One of the things I appreciate, like I don't really care for the Boys series, I do like Anthony Starr's portrayal of Homelander, because he just fully embraces the fact that he is just like a bully with powers and just a sick individual, and just embraces it. We need just villains to be villains, and get certain writers taking away their teeth because you want to constantly making misunderstood characters. It's annoying. And it's not how the world works. Not everybody, we all have a sob story, but some of those people are just assholes. And you could understand or feel bad, but you can't excuse their behavior.
Beneath every single thing that humans build is a power game, and awareness of the power dynamics and who is a sub and who is a dom in any given relationship actually is what society is all about.
I think going with reception history is good. How has he been received? Even if you can go into the original French and maybe he didn't say blah, blah, blah. He didn't correct people when they were interpreting him this way. So I'm fine with that. I like pointing out the existentialism because I think it gets a too easy of a time. But existentialism, you can throw in some will to power from Nietzsche. You can throw in some power dynamics from Foucault and shape and mold yourself. But because really, you don't have an essence. You make your essence. And I think that is kind of what the tech folks are talking about. I think that's what's going on with the Sith philosophy. And I didn't mention this, but there's actually this distinction in the Inkling's view of magic. There's Magia magic and Goetia magic. I liked the way C.S. Lewis broke it down in That Hideous Strength, which we can talk about as well. Magia magic is closer to how the Jedi use the Force. It's living in accordance with nature. It's represented by Merlin. He is old school Magia magic. He's not trying to bind and break and force things using magic like a dark sorcerer to Sith. So it actually maps on super well to the whole thing. Goetia, Magia, challenging forth versus bringing forth, Jedi philosophy almost, and definitely Sith philosophy. But that breaking and creating your own self from scratch is scary and dark and terrifying.
Can we deduct our kids' braces?
I do.
Yeah, I had no plans to mention kind of the transgender topic, but I mean, this is one of the things that is inherent to that, and I think it also kind of again stems from this same do you have an essence or do you make your essence? Do you get to decide who you really are? I mean, one of my favorite musicians transitioned from male to female, and it was used to be Tom, is now Laura. When Tom started going around and doing shows, he kept wearing a Kylo Ren mask. And I thought that was so interesting because the choice to wear a Kylo Ren mask as you're going through this thing in your life, there's a Sith thing at play here, which is the murder of the self.
I'm being torn apart.
And the I am no longer Ben Solo, Anakin Skywalker is dead, I am now this person. And I think if you are outside of that intellectual tradition and that subculture, you can't do that. There is no recreation of the self. But we believe in redemption. We believe in being reborn in many ways. But we believe that in being reborn, you are realizing the true self, which again, I think someone in the transgender movement might say, but that's exactly what we're saying. But they're saying we bring it about rather than a third party or an external logos.
I mean, and that's an important distinction, Stephen, and I think it's an important understanding for why this philosophical approach to, why these types of identity matter. Because what has been presented in a lot of popular culture and the stories we grew up with, profound truth is there. Luke Skywalker's moment of ascendance in Return of the Jedi is embracing his true identity. I am a Jedi.
I am a Jedi, like my father before me.
Not only is he realizing his own identity, he's affirming the true identity, the true potential, the true man his father was supposed to be. Anakin Skywalker, the hero, not Darth Vader, the cursed villain. And it's important. Amen. And there's my Star Wars soapbox. Fortunately, in the regular 24-hour news cycle, none of these concepts ever come up, do they?
No, never at all. Parker, I was thinking of you earlier today as I was preparing for having you on, and I saw something horrific in the news, and I want to share it with you. I want to get your thoughts on this because you have already alluded to the tech bros and the artificial creation of life and intelligence and commingling the two. Former CNN anchor Jim Acosta, he was in conversation and contact with the family of Joaquin Oliver, who was killed in the Parkland school shooting in Florida. And the family of the young victim, who was again in high school at the time, recreated their son using artificial intelligence. This is exactly what was projected in Black Mirror. They had Jim Acosta interview, quote unquote, their son.
All right, if you want to share anything or have questions, I'm all ears. Just let me know.
Joaquin, it's Jim Acosta. I was wondering if you could tell me what happened to you.
I appreciate your curiosity. I was taken from this world too soon due to gun.
There has been, because it's been a while by this point, but it has been some tweaks and upgrades to AI since this. But even still, this is just abhorrent. It's just just so wrong on so many levels. And you can see how it looks like it's glitching out, and it just seems like I can't imagine the kid will be okay with this at all. And honestly, it's not good for people's like emotional or mental health as they're trying to grieve. It makes it virtually impossible for them to grieve properly if they have like some kind of AI thing to constantly like treat like their kid like Jarvis to constantly talk to instead of just, you know, kind of like letting go. It's just, I understand the sentiment, but this is like, it's very wrong.
Violence while at school. It's important to talk about these issues so we can create a safer future for everyone. What would you like to know more about?
Joaquin, I would like to know.
And the way like they had the AI talk, it just seems like you can just like, can you make them sound more robotic without saying it's robotic? I mean, like he talks like how South Park makes fun of the Facebook guy. I forgot his doggo name. It just sounds like how they make fun of him. Sure, Brett. How may I help you? Anytime. I'm totally stoked that you want to talk to me. It's just like that. Like what are we doing?
Would be for gun violence.
Great question. I believe in a mix of stronger gun control laws, mental health support, and community engagement. We need to create safe spaces for conversations and connections, making sure everyone feels seen and heard. It's about building a culture of kindness and understanding. What do you think about that?
I think that's a great idea, Joaquin.
Yeah, that's really tough for a lot of reasons. It was done very cringy. I don't think that kid would like to be represented that way. I don't know him. His parents thought it was okay for whatever reason, but it's the canned responses, and you're calling this an AI. Is this a large language model? Like what has this been trained on? What's the training data? Was it his Facebook posts? Because I kind of doubt that this kid was posting about this kind of stuff. So have you just turned your kid into a walking platitude by doing this? Is that a way to honor him at all? It's really upsetting. Not because of any of the content of what's going on. He could be against guns or for guns. Whatever the case, it's like, this really, really seems wrong.
What you want to do is save hundreds when Liberty Mutual customizes your car insurance.
That's great, but can you ask?
You're talking to this. I don't even really know what it is because they're saying it's an AI. You can just call something an AI. This could have all been pre-programmed by someone typing in the responses and then using AI to generate a face. Now you get to call it AI, but you're referring to it as if it's that person. It's not. We made him. No, you didn't. That's the whole point. That's the whole point of the tragedy, that kid's not here anymore. If you could just do this and then the tragedy gone. So there's so much to it that's just gross. And I'm with you. I feel bad. It's horrible. It's horrific. I'm sure the parents are suffering a lot. If the Black Mirror episode taught us anything, it's that this won't help.
One of the main beats of C.S. Lewis's writings on this issue. In his moral universe, scientism is going to become moral authority. And I'm watching this interview, again, and this journalist is calling him Joaquin as if Joaquin is there, and then treating the platitude.
And this goes to show the sickness in a lot of people where they, or at least for the example of this interviewer, actually entertaining the idea that he's actually talking to this kid that is no longer with us and treating this essentially a robot like the actual person, where it's a separate entity altogether with the image of the dead person. Now, this would have been totally different if this was like, Vision from the Marvel comics or something. Then it's like, okay, this is a separate entity. This is his own individual. It's not mimicking or copying any other person that was dead. So that's the fundamental difference. Then, okay, then we have a whole totally different subject we're dealing with. But the fact that they're just, essentially puppeting a dead corpse and treating it like, oh well, everything's hunky dory now, stripping away like the death aspect. There's like, death is, as horrible it can be sometimes, death is a necessary process of life. It's the balance. And reality gonna hit this family like a ton of bricks if they don't like just adapt to this, I want to say new normal, but this radical change in their life. People gotta avoid doing things like this. If they suffer through a tragedy, get some grief counseling, come together as a family with some friends to properly grieve, give some time, and move on. Don't puppet your dead relative by using AI. It's weird. It's odd. Remember when like those, Michael Jackson holograms was a whole thing years ago? Of course, AI is way worse than that, but that was a precursor to this. And even back then, the hologram stuff was already too much.
As moral authority, that you died, and now we're going to use your face with a moving mouth, and you will utter things that no high schooler says. No high schooler says, I care about being together and creating space for people to love one another, and you have to nod and listen and go, thank you, I agree, appreciate it.
Well, if you don't nod and listen and agree, you probably run the risk of Skynet coming after you. So
you sharing that, it's treated as moral authority, and that's, I think, the thing that shocked me the most here.
I'm curious to know what you guys think, because this is like, oh God, it's just so. But going back to the earlier topic about the true enemy, just it's your own self. Like you, like with Anakin and fall into the dark side, you run the fear of losing people, and just like with the family losing a loved one, they cannot, accept it as like the natural state of life, and because they hold on to their pain and try to avoid death. Thanks for follow BBJK. Because like Anakin, that family could not accept the fact that they lost a loved one, and they will do anything in their power to try to hold on to that person any kind of way. They would surrender any morals or anything that makes them, like, I want to say moral superior, but it's just like, anything that kept their consciousness pointing due north, they completely abandoned it for the sake of, hold on to that loved one. Hey, what's up, Ray Ray? Yeah, I'm about to sign off and do another video in a second, guys, but thank y'all for the follow. Yeah, I was only doing like a short little reaction video, but I got another video I want to reacting to really fast. $200 follows. Yeah, because, I just got back a little while ago from work, so, like, I don't want to sit there and start, like, nodding off whatever. I want to do these quick little reaction videos before I call it. So, I want to make sure, like, while I'm still alert, I want to not off some videos that I've been keeping, they've been stacking for a minute. So I will see you guys in a little bit. So you can just, if you're following me, you'll know when I'm going live. So I will see you guys in a little bit. But thank you all for the follows, and I will see you all soon. So see ya.